Hi everyone, my name is Marina, and here on this channel, along with Oscar, we talk about self petition green cards like EB2 NIW and EB1A. Visas that allow you to move to the US without needing an employer sponsor or an immigration lawyer, saving a lot of money. Today, we have a very special guest, Anne, a talented Belgian musician, composer, and producer. Her work in musical theater not only stands out artistically, but also drives social impact. She is one of our members of the EB2 NIW course, and today she will tell us about her I-140 approval. Now, let's get into the interview with Oscar.
Hi, Anne. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you, Oscar?
Good, and congratulations, first of all, again, for your I-140 approval.
Thank you.
EB2NIW, I-140 approved. Let us know a little bit more about who Anne is as a professional.
So I'm from Belgium and I'm a musician and composer, and I'm mostly into musical theater. So a couple of years ago, I visited New York for the first time, and I just fell in love with Broadway and the city. So I kind of wanted to explore if there is a possibility for me to move to New York and work here. And then I found this master's program which is specialized in musical direction for musical theater.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the thing. I'm like now mostly focusing on music directing. So yeah, I auditioned for this master's program, and now I'm in my third and final year. So the master's program was in State College, Pennsylvania. And now I'm in my final semester, which is my internship semester. So now I moved to New York, and I'm working on a Broadway show as a music assistant now, and I will play keyboards in the show as well as like a sub, which is like the the substitute keyboard player for the show. But I will have if everything goes well, I will have my Broadway debut this year, which is pretty exciting.
That's awesome. I mean, I'm obviously not in your field, but someone that like me that is probably a little bit ignorant of all that world. We all know Broadway, so that sounds like something important, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like for musical theater, it's kind of the top of the world, and it really is a big difference. Then, like, I mean, we also do great work in Belgium, of course, and you also have London, which is great, but Broadway is still like, yeah, I mean, it's Broadway, so yeah.
The capital of this discipline, really. And so you came to the US, you saw all of that, you, like you said, you stuck around a little bit longer. So at what point did you think, and we're going to talk about your case a little bit more in detail, but at what point you thought, okay, I need a route to stay here, and what was that process of exploring the different avenues that you could have?
Yeah, so I'm here now on a J1 visa, which is a student visa. I chose the J1, not the F1, because I'm here with my husband, who's also from Belgium. And with him as my dependent, he's on a J2. He's allowed to work. And with an F2, you are not.
Yeah, that's a crazy thing, but yeah, I've met a few people in that same situation.
Yeah, so I mean, it's been great because he's been working here. So now we were looking for what are the options for us, and he's working in a climbing gym, so he doesn't really have the opportunity to get a work visa. And like the normal path for artists is first go to an O1, but my husband wouldn't be able to work on that visa. Like as my dependent, then you are an O4.
It's like the F or the same situation. Yeah, he wouldn't be able to work.
No, so it's not really an option for us. So that's why I was looking for the green card path right away. And so, I'm still at Penn State University, and we have free lawyers that we can consult. And so I spoke to an immigration lawyer, and he explained me about the EB1A and the EB2. But I have to say, I was not really interested in the EB2 at all because I was like, and I don't understand it, but I think I have to
Yeah.
go for the artist green card. And then
Mhm.
I did like a lot of like I looked for immigration attorneys online who you can get like free advice on your
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, like
And
maybe an evaluation or something like
yeah,
that.
and they all said, no, it's not gonna work for your case. We don't want to do it. And I was like, oh damn. But then one of them said, well, we can work with you on your EB2 NIW. And
Mm.
so that was like, oh, okay, maybe I should look into this. And then yeah, I found out that you also can do it yourself,
Yeah.
which is like much cheaper. So then I found your course. And then
Mhm.
actually I contacted my attorney again at Penn State because he said, I cannot help you with this because I'm not specialized in this category. But he was like, in the future, I want to learn about it. So I said, well, I'm doing it myself, but if
Mhm.
you want to give me extra advice or help me out,
Mhm. So that person can also learn. So it's like a
yeah,
mutually
was
beneficial thing.
yeah, it really was. But then at the end, well, he gave me some good advice, but
Mhm.
it was also sometimes a little bit difficult because he was not as familiar with the category. We had some arguments about some stuff.
Mm.
For
Yeah.
example, the advanced degree
Yeah.
thing. That like, if are you going for the advanced degree or are you going for the exceptional
Exceptional ability.
abilities? Well, I thought, okay, I already have a master's from Belgium, so I'm just going
Mhm.
for that. But then
Mhm.
he said, that there is this thing on the website that says if you're working in a field that doesn't really
Mhm.
require a master's, then it's kind of But
Yeah, yeah.
then I talked to you about it, so it was nice. I just asked my question in like this monthly meetings,
Ah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
and you said like, oh, it's not a problem because of these reasons. I told
Mhm.
my attorney and he didn't believe it, but he was like, okay, it's your case, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I'm
And
happy I trusted
and you
you.
didn't have any issue with that part, right?
No. It was yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I got an approved case and not an RFE. So
Yeah,
yeah,
so clearly that was not an issue. But that question that you asked me and that the lawyer had is a common one that I get
yeah,
all the time. And
yeah.
perhaps in the future things could change and they could be a little bit more restrictive about that, but that has not been the case. So
No.
a lot of things in this field go really by experience and what you see from RFEs and denials and all that. So yeah, the policy manual is very important, but it's more important to know what they are actually doing every month, really.
Yeah.
So well, I'm glad that things went well, and now
Hmm.
we're here talking about it.
So let's take a quick break to introduce you to our multiple resources that we offer in our websites. This is our website for EB2 NIW, where you can find a lot of information about this category, and above all the resources, we encourage you to join our EB2 NIW course for self-petitioners, where we teach you everything you need to know about the petition and how to write the cover letter, fulfilling the matter of Dhanasar, preparing your recommendation letters, getting ready a professional or a business plan, and we even teach you how to put together the package to send it to UCIS. You can submit your questions in each lesson, and once a month we have a live session with the course members where you can meet us face to face and ask us any doubt you have. So let's go back to Oscar and Annie.
So let's get inside that petition that you started putting together with the course, but of course, like pretty much is all on you. Like you are by yourself in a room, maybe taking the course here, but putting a lot of hours by yourself. And so advanced degree, we already covered that. You went with that, and that should have been fine. So let's get into the matter of Dhanasar, and specifically, I'm very interested. I'm cheating because I know your case already, but I'm interested that you share, in your case, for a musician, a producer, what did you tell that you are going to do, your proposed endeavor for that pro number one, and why what you're going to do is important for the nation?
Hmm. Yeah, I had to be creative with it because as I told you, I said I'm now mainly into music directing or being a musician for musical theater. I'm also a composer, and I'm also doing that in my life.
Yeah.
But I mainly focused on that part because for me it felt easier to find the benefit for the US with my, because then you're creating new works. And well, I'm sure you can also find a way in as a musician, but for me it was easier to focus on composing. And so my proposed endeavor was me writing social conscious musical theater works about, for example, the refugee crisis, climate change. So I have to say it's kind of funny with like the new
The new developments of the world
yes.
and Trump and all that, right?
For sure, because yeah, I obviously was still under. I made my petition under Biden's administration, and I have to say it was great. Like a lot of the national priorities were like about
Yeah.
immigration, refugees, about climate awareness,
Yeah.
about art. So that was great. I could use a lot of things from the White House website or from like the government.
That today maybe it wouldn't be possible because priorities have
No,
changed dramatically.
no, and well, I don't know if I already have to say this now, but that I first didn't do premium processing, but then the day after the elections, I paid
Mm,
for the premium processing
yeah.
fee just because I wanted to be sure that my case was reviewed under Biden's administration.
Yeah.
And they were actually too late.
Hmm.
So I was so worried because they already passed the deadline. The
Yeah.
administration already changed to Trump's, and I was like, okay, I can forget it now.
Yeah.
But
And it's
then,
just a quick note that they are actually missing. This is something that has not happened for a long time, but they are missing premium processing deadlines, and some people they are getting refunded. And if they missed it in your case, at some point you can request a reimbursement of the
yeah,
fee.
I already asked about it, so I was hoping they would send it by mail already, a check. They didn't, so I will have
Mhm.
to request it myself. But so yeah, it's good news that
Yeah.
because actually they did process my file faster
Yeah,
and
you get
request
the best of both worlds. Maybe you get
yeah.
the money back, and because it could also happen that they miss the deadline and then they forget about your case also.
Oh yeah, sure,
Yeah,
yeah.
that you were
But
lucky.
yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I have to say, I think it's now a more challenging time for artists to do this category. But I think if you're creative, which
Hmm.
we mostly are as artists,
You should. Yeah.
you can like find. I think you can still find things, or maybe more research papers or things like that
Hmm.
to make it fit your case, and you can just like change your story a little bit. Like, of course, don't lie, but
Yeah, yeah.
um,
Find something that aligns with the priorities. But I agree, your specific case maybe it wouldn't work exactly well today, but because you had everything that this government seems to dislike. But I'm so glad
yeah.
that you managed to get it done. And so you are proposing to do that work. There's a component, a big component of outreach and education, right? Like through the music to get out even of the theaters and really disseminate this culture of diversity and all these things you were talking about. Even you have experience with schools and things like that.
Yeah, yeah. I have this company in Belgium where I'm making like musical theater packages.
Hmm.
So the children in schools, in primary schools, can play in a musical themselves. And yeah, it's been like pretty popular in Belgium. So I translated that story to, oh, I can also do that in the US.
Hmm.
So yeah, that was also a part of it. I think like my petition had like a lot of components.
Hmm.
So it was also big part was about my musical about the refugee crisis, and then yes, primary schools musical theater packages as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and to be honest, you got approved, so you should be pretty safe now. Even if the priorities have changed, your work is going to be more needed than ever in the U.S. because you were talking about the refugee crisis in your previous work, and now there's another crisis in the U.S. that I think we will need a lot of resources to heal what is happening and what is about to happen in the coming
Yeah,
months.
for sure. And I think the officer that reviewed my case thought the same about it. So yeah.
Yeah. And so let's move to the second prong that really is really about you, about what you have done. It has a lot of there's a lot of relation with what you're proposing, of course. But what did you show there to convince them? Look, I not only have this important project, but I'm the right person to do this.
For that part, I mainly used what they're using for the EB1A as a guidance. So just that gave me a lot of inspiration, because I never would think to add, for example, that I served as a judge for other people's work. So I did for music contests when I was younger. And so I kind of like looked, oh, what can I add? So yeah, and it was kind of like everything that I could say that I did, like concerts I did or other compositions, like just everything. And the nice thing with the EB2 is that it's less strict than the EB1A, and so yeah, you can kind of create the story yourself and outline what you want. So yeah, and I did have a lot of letters of recommendation. I had 18.
It reminds me to the other case we saw in the channel of this musician, that his case was also like one with a lot of recommendation letters.
Yeah, they often say you don't need as much, but I have to say it's often for the STEM field. They have publication citations, whatever, and we don't have that. So I think maybe have a lot of letter of recommendations can be useful. And to be honest, that's like, I would recommend everyone to just reach out to as many people as possible, because in general, people like to help out, especially in the arts field, I think. And so I was surprised by how many people, even like Broadway music directors that I maybe met once, that wanted to sign a letter. And then, afterwards, you kind of keep in touch, and then
can lead to some opportunities also.
Yeah, for sure. And the same for, I also reached out to a lot of refugee organizations here in the US to also kind of like see if I can collaborate. And it was actually the attorney from Penn State he was really challenging me, and I was like, oh damn, that's so much work, I don't know. But then because of that, there were like so many organizations that want to work with me, and there is now one in specific that like wants to like kind of fund because they're working with another organization, and there is this off-Broadway theater that maybe wants to collaborate, and so we are planning to have my musical next year performed here in New York City. So that's just because I reached out for my green card application. So yeah, just ask people to help or to collaborate, and then often a lot of good things come out of it.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent tip, that a lot of people focus maybe on profile building towards an EB2 NIW or EB1A, but sometimes it can be the opposite. It's like, while you're doing this, you are building your career really and getting new opportunities.
Yeah, because when I was asking like Broadway musicians or music directors for a letter, I always included as a return, I'm also I'm also doing an internship next semester. And so if you need like a free assistant, like you can always reach out. And it was just good to know that like, because of that, actually, I got my internship on the Broadway show I'm working on now. So it's just it really worked out well.
That's awesome. And so you also had, and this applies both for prong 1 and 2, you also had some sort of plan, right? A document that outlined more in detail what activities you were hoping to do.
Yeah, I made a professional plan. Oh yeah, I almost forgot about that. Yes.
So much pain, and you forget about things.
Right. Yeah. So there was kind of I followed the plan, which was also on your course, but like more the longer one. I did it by myself, so I didn't use a service for it, and it was like more my goals also in long term and like specific how and when I'm gonna do what. And I mean, it's hard to do because you never know, and you also don't know what's realistic. But yeah, you always have to aim high. So yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's not about, creating a huge plan. It's more about showing that you do have a clear idea of what you are going to do. That is not
Hmm.
just a chat GPT kind of like fluffy, all beautiful words kind of plan, but you
Hmm.
have a concrete set of activities. And I think you accomplished that in your petition. I have to say that I cheated because yesterday I went back to your draft of the cover letter. So that's how I
Hmm.
remember you had a plan, because I was looking at it. We did a review, right, with you,
Hmm.
and I was also positively surprised with myself, because usually I'm very tough with people. And when I was reading your proposed endeavor statement part, I had a comment that said, this is very well written. Congratulations. And
Yeah.
usually I'm not that nice.
Yeah, that was nice. I read that and I was like, oh, yay, someone believes my case, which was great because in the end, the Penn State attorney didn't want to represent me because he was afraid I was gonna get an RFE, and then he had also to work on that if he would represent me, and that would take away time from other
A
students.
big
So
commitment. Yeah.
yeah. So he said like, I'm not gonna do it, which is kind of, it was hard, because then yeah,
Yeah.
that's someone who doesn't believe in your
Yeah.
petition.
Yeah. You feel like
um
you're left out. Yeah.
yeah, I emailed him like, hey, I got an approved I-40, and he was very friendly. He said like, oh, I love it when I'm wrong. So yeah.
So, what about timeline? You started this last year, I think 2024. Can you summarize a little bit the big steps in your process?
Yeah, so in May 24, I made the decision to work on the petition myself, and so I think then I bought your online course,
Mhm.
and then I submitted the end of September. So it definitely took a little bit longer than expected, but like in those 4 months period, I mean, I was not working on it every day. Uh, but yeah, I was trying to like at least an hour or two every day, but I also went on vacation, whatever. It's definitely a lot of work, and it's pretty overwhelming, but if you just take it step by step, it is manageable. And I was also very happy that I made the decision to get a review
Mhm.
with you, because I think that really helped out the prompt number one a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to ask you, like, what did you think that it was the area that you were greener? And pro number one is usually the answer for most people.
Yeah. Yeah. And so yeah, submitted end of September, then did like the premium processing. Wait, when was it? In November,
Mhm.
the day
Yeah,
after Trump got elected.
yeah,
And
November 5th or something like that. Yeah.
yeah, and then I got my decision at the end of January.
Yeah. And I always ask this question because I'm curious, like, when you received the news, what was your reaction? Like, how did you live that moment?
I was so surprised because, I was just like waiting. I thought it was going to come the last day of the 45 days, but it was also kind of difficult to see because there were so many holidays in between. I was like, which holidays are they working, which not?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I had this time frame, and I was just like waiting for an email
Yeah.
or letter to come, and I was just so okay. And then I kind of gave up.
That must have
Uh,
been very frustrating, actually.
yeah, and I thought, it's gonna get reviewed like in a couple of months, and then I can just forget about it.
Yeah.
And then like suddenly it was already evening. I got an email, and it said like the word approved. I just couldn't believe it. Yeah, I was so happy, and I was just like trying to call everyone, but it was already night in Belgium, so I couldn't call my parents and trying to see who of my friends are still awake.
That's awesome. Yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah,
I remember when I learned about my case, and it's been a few years, and it's a very nice moment, really, because
yeah.
like you said, it's a lot of work. So
Yeah, my petition was in total with everything included 760 pages. So,
mhm.
I mean, it's just so much work that you put into it. And then, I was so disappointed that it would kind of be like, yeah,
Yeah,
I really thought
forgotten
it.
by you, yes.
Yeah, I really thought it was over, and then I'm so happy. Well, even now with the long wait times, I now
Yeah.
know there is a green card for me
Hmm.
eventually in the future if everything goes well. You never know. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, nothing is for sure in life, but it's pretty sure. I hope
yeah.
that we don't have any surprise. But speaking of that,
Mhm.
I know that you are considering the EB1A route.
Yes.
So, what can you tell us about that? Why did you decide about that, and how do you see yourself in front of that new challenge?
It was actually because of you that I decided to work on it, because you said my prompt number 2, the well-positioned part, was very strong. So you thought I actually could maybe make a chance to get an EB1A.
Mhm.
But then, like, right after I submitted my green card application, I was super busy, and also like it's so much work that I kind of had
Yeah,
to
I think
distance myself.
mentally you need to disconnect.
I really couldn't do it but then now, when I was kind of like, I thought it was kind of over with the EB2 for me, I thought, like, you know what, I'm just gonna try the EB1A. And I have to say now, the moment that I got the approved one, it actually gave me more,
Mhm.
really gave me a boost to, yeah,
Yeah.
let's just do it. Also because of the wait times for the EB2. And
Mhm.
then, yeah, so, and also because, well, I already paid for the premium processing, but
Yeah.
normally I will get that money back. So I will
Yeah.
do the EB1A, do premium processing, and I will know so fast if I have it or not, and then actually it
Yeah.
will go pretty quick.
Yeah.
So
Did you know that for EV1A, actually premium processing is faster than EV2 NIW?
yeah, only 15 work days.
15
Yeah.
days.
So I am actually working on it now very hard. My deadline to submit it is the end of February.
Mhm. Wow.
And I can reuse a lot of the things
Mhm.
that I already have. But I mean,
That's
it
a
was,
good point. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, for sure. It was like the beginning was kind of hard, like, oh wait, and how am I gonna do this? Still like a lot of things you need to, yeah, I need to change
Relearn.
or
Yeah, I think
yeah,
that you need to relearn a little bit. Okay, what is this category about? How do I
yeah,
strike?
yeah. I was just frustrated. So that's maybe a very good tip. If you are, even if you're not really considering the EB1A, because I wasn't,
Mhm.
I would really recommend that your letters of recommendation are like can go for both
Yeah.
categories, because now
Agnostic. Yeah.
I have that problem now that everything says EB2 national interest waivers. So yeah, I'm like
I
rewriting
had
the
the same
letters.
problem actually.
Yeah,
Yeah,
now I
I
have
had
to
to
like,
go back and ask them, can you re-sign the letter with
yeah, so
EB?
now I'm doing that, and yeah, it feels just like weird to ask them again for another favor, but yeah,
Yeah.
it is
I mean,
what
the
it
good thing
is.
is that now you can go and say, "Hey, remember about me? Well, I got approved. Thank you."
Yeah, so
You know,
it's like good news, but
and I have another favor to ask.
yeah.
That's a good tip. That if you are thinking that you could go for both, maybe make the letters agnostic to any category. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, or maybe already make two. I mean, I
Or
know that's
sure.
hard. But
Yeah.
even if you don't like, just don't write the title of the EB2, EB1A, but just like general,
Yeah.
like permanent residency, something like that, green cards,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Hmm.
I think you can reuse it. If now someone doesn't answer, I
Hmm.
think I'll maybe, if there's like just one or two letters, I might reuse the EB2 ones.
It should be okay, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
still like it still says good things about me, so
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
So that's good also because now also you remove a little bit of the pressure. Now you have one.
yeah.
If this happens, great. It will speed up all the process. But if not,
Mhm.
well, you still have that one. It doesn't go away.
Yeah.
All right. So we are getting to the end of this nice conversation we're having. And what else can you share as tips or any important information you wish you had about this kind of process?
I would say the process might overwhelm you in the beginning, or like even during. There will be like a time that you're kind of like, I don't know what to do. But just take it step by step, and it will definitely be worth it. I think it is good to have someone like challenge you. So for me, it was really helpful to have like if you are in a university. in the United States. Often you have an immigration attorney that you can just consult for free. So, and if you don't have that, I think because paying for an attorney can be very expensive. So for me, the extra review that I had with Oscar was like very helpful for sure. And it also challenged me to like rethink things. So I also would plan for like your case has to be ready, but then like plan for some extra time because you do need some time to rewrite stuff and maybe get some extra evidence or whatever. I actually used a lot of not ChatGPT, but it was an AI tool. It's called Liner. I'm not getting sponsored by it, but
but that's good because I never heard of it. So maybe I'll go and do it afterwards.
Yeah, it's called Liner, and it helped. I used it for everything. Like really, I was kind of embarrassed how much it was writing for me. Of course, you have to do the work yourself, but I mean, I had to write 18 letters of recommendation. I wrote them all myself, and it was so helpful to to use this tool, and it helped me to get extra sources, find like things that I could use for the prompt number 1. And I think you only pointed out once that like, oh, this sounds like a little bit ChatGPT. But I even
I'm very good at spotting that. So if I didn't, it means that it sounded pretty natural.
Yeah, don't be afraid to use it. Just know how to use it.
I agree. I think that's exactly right. Like, there's no problem with using AI. It's just don't let the AI be in charge of the petition. You are in charge. It's a tool that you are using. The AI shouldn't be using you. It's the opposite.
Yeah, for sure. But it also like it was like my brainstorm tool as well. What do you think? Give me some ideas. It helped me a lot for sure. So I would really recommend using something like that because I think it can actually make your petition better. Yeah. And then what I already told in before, like just ask people for help and for your letters of recommendation and reach out to people and
don't hesitate, like be brave and get out there and maybe it will lead to something else for you. So awesome. Yeah. So, well, Anne, thank you so much for spending this time with us and sharing your experience. And I'm so happy that we have this story to share with others. Maybe in a few months we'll have another story from you. I don't know.
Yeah, we can have part 2.
Part 2.
Let's hope.
And no matter what happens, I'm sure you will stay in the US. And like I said at the beginning, you are doing important work. I mean, a lot of times we focus a lot on STEM people, science, technology, and all that. But the humanities, the arts, there's a lot of importance on what you do, especially in your specific case, the proposed endeavor you had. It's going to be, like I said earlier, very needed unfortunately, in the US. So good luck with your work and
Thank you.